Hey, I'm Peter Broxy, and today we've got the Suzuki RM-Z450 2012 model to test and have a bit of a rack up on the track today. As you can see, it's a brand new bike from Motor City. I don't know what the biggest changes on this year's model are, but as you can see, it's got a red seat, and today's comparison is more of a bike kind of test, as it's kind of a rider kind of feel of it. Because I mean, I haven't really tested these bikes in the past. Before the 2011 bike of Cody Cooper's that I rode, that was a pretty trick bike. So it's not going to be quite so fair comparison. So what it is, it's more of a how do I feel on the bike? You know, how does it ride and how perform and all these kind of things. First thing I noticed when I saw it was the tyres. That means quite a lot to me. So you can see they're Bridgestone 404s on the back and a 403 on the front, and you can't really beat that combination, I find, for New Zealand. And it's a good, hard wearing, very high traction tyre. So that's a good start. You can tell that Suzuki hasn't shortchanged that. And then they got the handlebars next. They've got some from taper kind of bars, and they seem to provide pretty good feedback. Rental, you can't get much better than that either. Another good thing about the Suzuki bike is their foot pegs. Might not be the first thing that most people look at, but they're nice and wide, and they're also quite thin and quite light, but they're not going to be getting ripped off your bike or anything like that. So I really like the foot pegs on the Suzukis. Another bonus is that they have a nice mechanism where they don't really get filled up with dirt when you're leaning it into the ruts. If you're that kind of a rider, they don't get chock-a-block and end up sticking up and wearing out your boots too bad. As to how the ergonomics on the whole thing. Yeah, it feels nice. The Suzuki always had a bit of a style of feeling like, to me, it always felt like I was sitting in the bike rather than on it. And that's fine. I quite like that feeling. You feel like you're a bit lower to the ground maybe, lower centre of gravity, could be an advantage. When we went to start it, it's fuel injected. And I mean, with the 450s, there's new fuel injections. As long as you get it to top dead centre every time before you go to kick, give it one good push, you can guarantee it's going to start. I didn't need to touch a hot start as long as I got it to top dead centre, so that's another bonus on these new full injected bikes, how they start. But it's not guaranteed, even though it might be EFI. As to power on this bike, it pulls really, really strong. I mean, as you would expect from a 450. One thing I noticed is the clutch. It's not the lightest clutch that you've ever felt. And when you're in the corner, I found that I needed to trail a little bit of throttle just to make sure that it wasn't going to stall on me. So it doesn't quite disengage as well as maybe a 250 would, but that's just a characteristic on the 450, I think. If you wanted to rev this thing out, if you've got the guts, then it wants to go, and you don't need much of a run up to clear some of these bigger jumps. And one thing I found quite difficult was keeping the front wheel down, to be honest. It was really powerful, especially through the mid-range and top. And of course, as soon as you get on the throttle, it just wants to go. So it's a really strong power, and there's a nice smooth gradient the whole way through. There's no kicks or anything crazy in there. It's a good power plant, and you definitely know that you're on a high horsepower bike.